What's going on today, guys? Primal Sabbath here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the only one of these Kingdom figures I plan on reviewing individually. However, I still will be doing a individual review for Wave 2, all of them kind of combined, but this is the only one that I've gotten quote-unquote early from Wave 2, so I got it from the same place everyone else got it, and that's Dinobot. Anyone who hasn't followed me long enough will know that the reason I am doing only Dinobot in its own kind of standalone review is because it's my favorite character. So there we go. There's that. Now I want to kind of get into the bad stuff first, and that is honestly going to be deco. So it's at least the thing that bothers me the most, right? So let's go ahead and get into. I think I got this not transformed like all the way properly, but it, whatever, it is what it is. So they went with, instead of like a light brown, dark brown, they went with like a gray, dark brown. Really strange. Kind of a callback, I guess, to Universe Dinobot, but it just doesn't look all that great. Now, it may look good in the show and, whatever, and it may be because of that, but I'd really been hoping that, like, maybe we would get a Netflix deco that would have been closer to the light brown, dark brown. But yeah, the orange, like, orbs here don't really bother me as much. They could have been a darker color. I feel like they could have gone with something that was like black or like a gunmetal or something, and it wouldn't have been as egregious. Now, if this would have been a lighter brown, maybe it would have stuck out some. But, we just will never know, I guess, at that point. Otherwise, like, I don't really have too many gripes for the dinosaur mode. It's probably the best dinosaur mode at this price point that we're going to get for Dinobot. Now, I say at this price point, it really is not fair to compare this thing to the Masterpiece, which we will do, but, like, it's silly to do so. It's like 1/10 of the price. Like, for 1/10 of the price, I think that's, like, just something that can be overlooked. Also, this purple tip for the sword on the tail, I don't know why they followed the same direction the Masterpiece went and just did like that kind of pinkish purple sort of color for the tail. Wish it would have been silver. I want to say the like Photoshop for all of the like promotional stuff showed it as silver. It showed the feet a different color too, but like again, like a lot of the stuff gets photoshopped for a lot of the promo stuff, especially like the on-box stuff. So it is what it is. It's just going to be what it's going to be. So there is that. And finally, my problems with the sculpting. Same thing a lot of people have. These hands, if they would have like put a hinge maybe in here or something, probably wouldn't have been too bad, but like they don't bother me, I think, as much as like it does some other people. Again, your mileage may vary. It is a little silly, but it's obviously for transformation. So, that is that. Finally, the most egregious thing is he's missing like front teeth. It's Meth Head Dinobot. Not a fan. Not a fan at all. Closed, it isn't that awful, but like, I don't know, Dinobot was very articulate with his mouth and stuff like that, and like I just don't like that. This isn't G1 Grimlock. Give us like a couple of more teeth, please. But other than that, I really don't have a whole lot of complaints with this beast mode. Now, some people have had some problems with these pieces right here lining up and staying, for the most part, flush. Like, this is about as flush as they're going to get. It does take some finagling. Like, things have to be, like, just right underneath here. I don't know if you can see. Like, it's almost like like these orange pieces have to be turned at like a certain angle, and then on top of that there's like a little tab on this piece and a slot on that piece that will help kind of sandwich all that together in. That's about as good as I'm going to be able to explain it. Showing it is quite frankly going to take too long because we have a ton of comparisons, and I don't really do transformation type stuff anyways, so there's that. I do like how these like legs, the hint, like the swivels are just so to where they're like on just the right enough angle, like to where at first I was like, man, those legs are maybe a little too, he's like maybe a little too bow-legged or something, but you can kind of rotate in there and then rotate right there. Again, they're on like just the slightest of angles to really get like a decent looking profile for the Raptor mode. That said, I don't think you're really gonna pay too much attention, compared to like other parts of the Raptor mode. So there's that. Now let's get into the first comparison, and then I feel like it's the only like ideal comparison to make because it's a little more recent and they are a little close in price. And that's going to be Transfamer Dinosaur. This was the third-party Dinobot that used the Planet Steel Planet 3D printed Dinobot as a base. I think getting this thing imported, it was like $35-40, something like that. If you're shipping this from any of the stores that have it in stock now, you're looking at about $40 as well. Picking it up in stores, getting it from BBTS, Pulse, whatever, you're looking at like $30-34. And getting it from Amazon, if you pre-ordered it in time, they got down to like $25, which is pretty sweet. So it's within that same price range. Now, this guy's a little bit bigger. His beast mode, I think, is a little more close to... Oh, look at this. Just come on now. Like what I would consider a toy Dinobot to be. I think he's definitely closer to toy Dinobot, where this is definitely more like Jurassic Park movies Dinobot, right? So again, something to kind of keep in mind. The little hands do look better, but the deco on the Transfamer looks horrible in comparison. Quite frankly, this has all these nice sculpted beast mode accessories, like all the reptile, skin and all that other stuff, where this is fairly smooth, not as detailed. And honestly, they went more with a toy deco, specifically the Takara original Dinobot toy deco, and I didn't like that. I mentioned that I didn't like that in the initial review. I wish they would have gone for something closer to like how he was in the show. I think if they would have done that, probably would have sold some units. Since I have reviewed this thing, it has broken. Yikes. And a lot of it is just because of the tension on those hinges, and I'm gonna guess not quite great plastic quality for it being as cheap as it was. Kind of to be expected. So that's also something. It broke on like both of those hinges. That said, like it still functions both in beast and robot mode. So, do with that what you will, I guess, and be careful if you have this thing. It always had some tight tolerances. So, speaking of tolerances, transforming this guy can be a little problematic too. He's like, it's really weird. It's just really, really weird. Same with the rest of the Kingdom stuff. It's like, there's just things that are like, have to just line up so perfectly for you to get it to, point A or to point B or whichever way you're going with it. So, like, that's something to keep in mind. It's a lot of tabs that I feel could possibly break off in the future, but if you're careful, don't rush it, enjoy it, you should be all right. So, there is that. I'm going to get all of the... Well, before I get, I guess, all the Dinobots in, let's do the dumbest comparison anyone could do and compare it to the Masterpiece. I'm going to try to get him a little bit further back because he is a big boy. Obviously, the Masterpiece is shooting for the original cartoon accuracy. Big fan of it. I think everyone's a big fan of it. It's a great piece to have. However, whenever it MSRP'd at $250, I think you can get it for like $180 or something like that. If you imported it the smart way, then like still the fact that this is going to run you $25 to $30, $250 to $300, you're gonna there's gonna be some shortcuts. So yeah, there's this comparison for those that just want to know. I wish they would have stuck to this color palette. Yes, you can see some orange stuff on him, which is why that doesn't really bother me as much, and that never bothered me as much, but I wish they would have stayed to that color palette. So there is that. So anyways, let me get the rest of these various Dinobots in here for comparison, and just to kind of show off my favorite character, more or less. It's just like for me more than anything, I think. All right, so here we have it compared with all of the Dinobots that I feel relevant to compare it to. Starting at the far left, we have the Telemoka. Going to the right, we've got the G2, aka Fox Kids, the Henkei, Kingdom, Masterpiece in the back. Obviously, the original up front, Train Famer Dinosaur, the Universe / Shattered Glass, the Takara Deco of the original Dinobot, that original release, and the 10th Anniversary Dinobot. So, real quick, I decided to go ahead and include the Universe Dinobot in here because it is like Shattered Glass, I guess. And that is a deco that I would love to see on this new mold. Quite frankly, I would love to see a more show-accurate deco. It is fairly close to the Henkei in terms of colors, but the Henkei still has more of a brown than a gray for that kind of lighter brown color. But it's almost kind of like somewhere in the middle. I just wish like we could have gotten, more of that really for the color scheme. So yeah, this is the comparison. I am gonna spend the next hour transforming these off camera, I'm sure. I'll accept the Masterpiece in the 10th anniversary, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so for anyone who was curious to kind of see this shot, this is it more or less. So yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get Kingdom Dinobot into his robot mode, and we can talk about the pros and the cons there. Actually, real quick before we do that, I did want to bring in for comparison, and I realistically probably should have gotten Paleotrex, but I did want to show him off with Beast Wars Megatron here, the Kingdom Megatron, I guess I should say. So yeah, I like how this scales up quite nicely. I think Paleotrex would probably also look pretty good here as well. But yeah, so like you're really curious how they're going to handle Kingdom Dinobot in the Netflix show. I hope that he kind of remains a Predacon, to tell you the truth. We got good guy, quote unquote, Maximal Dinobot. And that was a great story for the original Beast Wars. And I know that the Netflix stuff has remained fairly, I guess, traditional in terms of which I haven't watched any of Earthrise yet, to be fair. But yeah, like I kind of hope that we get Dinobot as like a kind of tried and true Predacon, right? Curious how he's going to be characterized in the comic, but I know that's kind of like its own different deal. And it's really cool, like what they're doing. In my opinion, like we've got this, the Netflix stuff, so we have like that set of fiction. We have the comic kind of doing its own thing with IDW. And then we have this almost like untold, let your mind fill in the blanks story going on with just with the toy line itself. We got like in Siege, there was the blacklight reactive print on the boxes, plus the inserts were kind of like, little call out sort of things, like if they were aerial division, ground division, like that sort of thing, which I thought was awesome. Earthrise had the clip out maps, which I think is hella awesome. Big fan of the Earthrise like clip out maps. I think that's really, really cool. So like you kind of like can see this own sort of story going with just the toy line itself. It's great. Kingdom has the reveal cards. 5 characters, rather. With 3 different outcomes per reveal. They really dive into the whole golden disc lore that has been told in Transformers in the original Beast Wars cartoon. So like we have 2 out of 3 cards for Dinobot already, right? We have the the kind of like there's a good outcome, a neutral outcome, and a bad outcome. Right now we have the good outcome and the neutral outcome. The good outcome came in Wave 2, where Dinobot becomes a Maximal, and they like reuse some of that 10th anniversary art, whatever. We have the Wave 1 Dinobot reveal card, which is like he goes on to lead like a split kind of combined faction of Maximals and Predacons. So curious to see what the quote unquote bad reveal is going to be, but like everything, like they seem to kind of be telling a story that you yourself fill in the blanks. I really like that. Just from a like there's just different like aspects, I think, to this whole War for Cybertron trilogy thing, and I think it's really cool. So anyways, there he is compared with Kingdom Megatron, and I went through that whole spiel for, whatever, nothing. But yeah, let's get him into robot mode. All right, here we have Kingdom Dinobot in his robot mode, and he's far from perfect. Let's be honest. Let's go ahead and get into those imperfections, and then we'll go ahead and get into the things that I really like about it. So again, imperfections for me mostly comes down to deco. And that's something that just unfortunately can't be fixed. Ever since Takara and Hasbro started doing their whole shared deco thing, it has really left, I feel, a lot of collectors wanting for the past, 4 years. I think they started in Power of the Prime. Pretty sure that was 4 years ago. Anyways, and again, that's just, it sucks, but it is what it is. Now, some things that I feel could have just been done differently altogether is, so I understand they went with this kind of gray paint, which we saw, again here, predominantly in beast mode. These, kind of fold up to kind of fall more in line with a lot of this gray paint apps, but it's not really seen from any angle at all whatsoever. So I feel like they could have just left that out altogether and kept the knees gray, or even hit the knees with this same kind of dark brown paint plastic, whatever this is. I'm pretty sure that's plastic, all things considered. Yeah, that's plastic, but they still could have hit it with just a darker color there on the inside of the knees. And again, I know I should not be comparing this to the Masterpiece, but the Masterpiece has the kind of dark paint apps with the gold going around, and the shin and these little bone pieces would be gold. Stuff that I just wish they would have tried, this color, but for the bone on the legs, on the shin, around this, and just a dark color on the knees. I think that would have just improved it so much, and now it's pretty much just well, I gotta hope that Takara at some point in the future decides to do a premium deco on this thing, like they're starting to kind of do with some of those Power of the Primes toys that they're re-releasing, like Abominus and Volcanicus and stuff like that. So one can only hope that we'll get a Beast Wars box set or something like that, with better decos on some of these characters. Like Optimus Primal needed the red at the hips, just something. I feel like it is worth pointing out because the legs are relatively bland compared to the rest of the figure. Now, it's not necessarily make or break, but it is something that's just a little bit bothersome. And the feet kind of are too, just this solid, again, I'm used to seeing that kind of orange breakup there. It's just something I felt worth noting. Now, sculpt-wise, something that bothers me are these little pencil arms. It's funny how just backwards this is compared to the Masterpiece. He's got, the Masterpiece has the big, chonky Manwich arms and kind of dainty legs in comparison, which they're not dainty, but they're definitely his leg. He's got tight pants on, the Masterpiece does. Where this one, he's got some kind of beefy legs, but his arms are just sort of wimpy looking. And I feel that that's just not Dinobot. Dinobot's got the gun show going on, right? So that's something that I think will be relatively easy fixed because they are on these mushroom pegs, and they're really easy to remove. If an upgrade company like DNA Designs decides to come along and make some upgrade arms, as long as they can fit inside those arm cavities, I think it's fine. The pins are a little unsightly here. I don't know why it couldn't have been this side facing forward. Obviously, this is on the outside for beast mode, which I guess is what they were kind of going for, maybe. But they didn't even have to have these flathead pins. They could have just been the standard little pins. I don't know why, again, that they decided to use that type of hardware. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And that's how I've been feeling about a lot of the Kingdom stuff lately. And not just Kingdom, but even some of the War for Cybertron stuff. Just the choices in hardware have been crazy. Obviously it's harder for customizers and I guess potential bootleggers to take these things apart to try to reproduce them. So it's a double-edged sword, I guess. Let's come up here to the things that I do like. So the chest transformation is just genius. You know, they hide away the robot mode head. Is it as smooth and show accurate as the masterpiece? No, but it's still really, really cool. I really like how they did this. They were able to kind of maintain aspects of the original toy transformation, but still give us this like fairly show accurate look, and I really do like that. I love the way that the chest kind of works out. And obviously you've got the little hands folded up in there, which we circled back around to like at the beginning of the review. So like, yeah, like this is like overall nice. Like I can take the weird legs, or even if they would have just finished the gray paint apps along here, just something, you know, it just looks so half-assedly done from the knees down. Like everything else is aces. The head sculpt is wonderful. I like those red eyes in there. Let's again come in here for the close-up. So there we go. That is spot on with the masterpiece. It's almost like they just kind of shrunk the masterpiece head sculpt down and just gave us that. And it's really, really cool. Like, I really do like that. Be awesome if maybe, again, we get a release in the future where, you know, he'll have, like, the green eyes or something like that. But otherwise, I dig it. Obviously, he has weapon storage, very similar to the Henkei release. Ooh, come on, guy. Which, that just kind of clips, and it's that whole thing. His, it removes like right here. Something that else that I think is just kind of cool, and like they didn't necessarily have to sculpt it like that, but they even sculpted the spine thing. Even though it's covered up and all that, I still think it's like a nice little nod. So, you know, positive things about all of that. Now, the shield and the sword are a little thin and a little wimpy. I'm fine with it, just because it does clean up so well in beast mode. But like, yeah, that's super thin. It would have been nice if, I don't know, maybe they could have cut off like an extra amount to maybe give it a little bit bigger of a base. But you know, again, it's one of those, it is what it is sort of things. And the way he grabs it, he's got these giant hands, which don't bother me. I feel the hands are adequate. The arms just need thickening up. He just needs some bulkier arms. And then we've got the sword here, which he can hold like that. And I think I've seen people manage to get it kind of... Okay, no, you really can't. That's a bummer. I haven't really tried prior to this, but he can't hold it like the original toy, so, you know. And again, circle back around to, I have a problem with it being purple. I know the masterpiece was kind of like that chromed pink, which was just silly, but, it is what it is. So, let's go ahead and back him up so we can compare him to the most recent kind of Chug Dinobot, and like they are roughly the same height. Now, Kingdom Dinobot is, in my opinion, like the superior choice, regardless if this guy had broke or not. And I'm not saying yours will break, obviously, but from just the like color palette to the head sculpt to the accessories, definitely my favorite. The sword, I feel, is long enough, although it could have been shortened down on Kingdom Dinobot. So I think maybe fit inside that tail shield. Kind of a bummer, tail shield red. So there's also that to consider. You know, but it's objectively better, in my opinion. Definitely so. So there is that. For a comparison. But yeah, like this, don't get this, just get the Kingdom one. By all means, get the Kingdom one. And we already saw it with the Henkei, but here he is with the Takara original. So just to kind of give you an idea of that. And let's do the dumbest comparison ever. And here he is with the masterpiece. So yeah, this is just great stuff all around. I do appreciate that I now have a smaller, cheaper version of the masterpiece that I can just kind of mess around with whenever I want. Don't have to really worry about scratching paint or any of that kind of things that you would have to normally worry with a masterpiece figure. So very cool there. Let's get him out of the way. And for the final single comparison, then we'll get all the Dinobots in for a group shot. Oh, Kingdom Megatron. And I like how these two scale up with one another. You can see Dinobot is about a head shorter. And like, this is nice. Like, this just looks good. I really, really am looking forward to watching Kingdom. I gotta watch Earthrise first, but hey, it is what it is. And like, I'm looking forward to seeing how like these two interact with one another. I am extremely excited. Again, I hope Dinobot remains a Predacon, properly. And I hope we see him more with the bad guys than we do with the good guys. And I think it would be really cool. Like, I think that Beast Wars Megatron would be a force to be reckoned with a character like Dinobot on his side. So really awesome. Get him out of the way, and let's go ahead and get everything set up for the kind of final shot, and then we'll do the outro. All right, here we have the Legion of Dinobots, and looking good. Kingdom fits right in my opinion. I really do dig this, man. This is a pretty cool figure, and it's like, if you haven't bought the Train Famer, don't. Just like skip it altogether. I'll be honest, if mine hadn't broken, I would have like put it up on eBay immediately. It was good for its time. It was a decent placeholder for a kind of like Voyager scale, Generations mainline Dinobot. Never really scratched the itch fully, but I feel like Kingdom is going to scratch the itch as best as we could really possibly ask it to. And for that, like, I'm definitely grateful. I'm glad we got him so soon in the line. And again, I really look forward to seeing how he's characterized in both the IDW story and the Netflix Kingdom show. And, can't wait for the third card reveal outcome for the character. Overall, it is really great. 30 minutes for this is ridiculous. I get it. If you've stuck around this long, thanks for watching. And hope you guys have a great day. And yeah. See you later.